Good afternoon, esteemed traders and investors. Today is Thursday, May 21st. I present to your attention another market review for InstaForex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. So there are a couple of trading ideas for the euro and gold based on the weakening of the dollar. We'll discuss this with you now on the chart. Let's take a look at the news list. Today is Thursday, and this morning there were already some weak news releases for the euro. In the second half of the day at 3:30 p.m. we have news for the dollar. Various reports from construction, unemployment benefits, Philadelphia and the business activity index. But most of the news will be released at 3:30 p.m. with only one at 4:45 p.m. which is interesting. Let's see what we can trade on the charts. Let's go. So let's start with gold quotes, which yesterday gave a very strong bullish move. And this move yesterday, on Wednesday, was not directly connected in any way to the typical American news, at least not the regular ones. From 5 o'clock p.m. Moscow time, we experienced a very significant upward growth by approximately 8,000 points, and right now we are testing the bullish breakout zone. It is quite possible that the instrument will give us a third upward wave during the upcoming American session. To put it in much simpler terms for everyone, the Americans today might repeat yesterday's move, or at the very least create a major shock for the short sellers who have been selling all week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Everyone who has been selling will likely be stopped out, or so I assume, above the level of 4,589. It would make a lot of sense to kick them out from there and then move on to other, much bigger targets. Overall, it is a highly interesting and critical spot on the chart. Despite the fact that Asia and Europe are shorting today, they are not doing it decisively enough to break the bullish move from yesterday's American session. This suggests that the momentum remains in favor of the buyers for the time being. By the way, yesterday I mentioned that these Asian and American extremes would be taken out. And that's exactly what happened. And those who relied on the bullish breakout yesterday could have profited from it. Today, you can play a bigger game, but you might want to adjust your position size because the stop losses here are larger.
Looking for real trading advantages? InstaForex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. On major currency pairs, our conditions are better. Lower spreads and only $5 commission instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to the market review.
As for the euro-US dollar pair, the situation is exactly the same. The Americans bought back yesterday, and today Europe has already fed off the bullish breakout, and America might also take advantage of it. But we have a small bearish breakout, so you need to be careful here. And it's all the same story. We've been falling for a long time without really shaking anyone out. The instrument is stuck between breakouts. Here's the bearish one, here's the bullish one, bouncing around like a fish out of water. Logically, it would make sense for the instrument to squeeze out the sellers, at least over the course of a week, preferably even higher, and then continue to fall as part of the larger downward plan, which I've already mentioned multiple times, targeting the 1.14 and 1.13800 levels. The British pound US dollar pair has also gone through a bullish correction, but on the higher time frames, it's still too early to sell, at least until it reaches the 50% Fibonacci retracement from the overall drop we saw last week. The higher it pulls back, the better it is for us, and then we can expect a further decline within the three-wave ABC structure. The US dollar, Canadian dollar is rising, and the zones for selling are even higher. If you didn't buy at the bottom, there's nothing to do here now.
I also want to remind you that every InstaForex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review.
The US dollar-Japanese yen currency pair is currently thrashing around quite violently like a Japanese fish on ice at a major and significant bearish breakout point, but it could still potentially climb a little bit higher in the short term. It would make sense for it to continue to climb slightly higher and then fall from 160. That would certainly be a very favorable scenario. At the very least, you could potentially get a one-to-one move right here. As for oil, today inventories are growing and we have contract rollovers, so the chart looks somewhat strange and unconventional. Still, the instrument is quite bullish and it's possible we're seeing a new break in the long structure, a break in both the short and long trends from which you could buy using this straightforward and effective trading strategy. As for Bitcoin, it's going down, but it hasn't tested the short break yet, so there's nothing interesting for us here. Regarding the American stock market, as for the S&P 500 on the H4 timeframe, it isn't showing any interesting trading situations. The instrument is moving sideways rather sluggishly. There aren't any interesting support levels. This extreme was broken, so it looks like a flat is starting, and I think there's nothing for us here. The Nasdaq is also copying everything. There were breakouts here as well, and now it's stuck at the short break. Basically, the games around the breaks continue, and there's nothing for us to do here.
With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit, with no extra conditions.
Dollar franc. The dollar is weakening here, though not very actively. Let me remind you, today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, and I'd like to see the week close as a bullish trading week for us. Overall, I'm in favor of strengthening, but of course, a correction is possible, which is what we're seeing now. So corrections are quite possible. If a really deep correction happens, then the buying zone at the long break here would definitely be interesting to buy into. As for the cross pairs, our slow movers still aren't trading actively. There are some sluggish corrections happening, but nothing significant is changing. The New Zealand dollar against the franc is below this year's low, and the Australian dollar has finally entered a correction. I hope this whole bullish frenzy will collapse soon, and then it will be possible to close out the sell grid, at least at zero, on the euro, Australian dollar. If you haven't entered yet, you can set up a grid of limit buys below 1.59754.
We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex.
As for euro, Canadian dollar, it's been flat in this zone, and overall, of course, it's interesting, locally interesting, if you're ready to set a stop beyond the May lows. Silver, I remind you, has a pin bar in a bearish trend, and it would be logical for the instrument to move down to the lows of recent weeks. Accordingly, here you need to choose short setups, and those who rely on short breakdowns are already starting to make some profit here. That's about it. Friends, InstaForex offers a free consultation with a personal trading consultant. Follow the link in the video description, fill out the callback form, and gain access to exclusive offers and special trading conditions, BRT, plus for risk-free trading. That's all. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.